you were thinking track, so
yeah,
you're a little stiffer. Yeah. I'm still like super like amazed by the fact that you have the dash of an RSX. It looks OEM, so that's the thing. Like it's so cool, you know.
Yeah, you didn't. Like, it was nice. You don't have to cut much to make it work. Like I had to do just you know small trimming to actually make it fit in here. So.
Oh yeah, how did the whole process of gutting it begin? What broke first? And you're like, let me just take it off and then put it back together.
Well, it was, you know, again, coming from as long as I've been into the scene, so to speak, like, you know, that whole gutted hatchback, you know, all you need is the bare essentials just to go have fun and whatnot. It carried over to this, so I basically, like, when I got all the RSX wiring, I just started, like, basically took the harness and started, like, you know, I had the service manual and the ETM and stuff at the house, so I started just going through, like, looking at what wires went where. I'm like, okay, I don't need this, don't need this. So I basically just kept the stock harness but stripped it out to, you know, losing the weight that way, you know, without getting.
It adds up.
Yeah,
it adds up.
Totally added up.
All my buddies always take out the wiring and they're like, oh, excess weight. But you take that, you take the glove box, you take
all the sound deadening that you chip out, all that stuff. It was crazy how much this stuff adds up over time.
Alright, everyone, welcome back to Automotive Anatomy. Today we have David. David, thank you so much for driving this far distance. You definitely drove quite a bit, so thank you so much for making time for us. What do you drive?
96 Integra RS.
96 Integra RS. I don't think there's anything left of this Integra except like the outside, but we'll get to it. Tell us about yourself. Like, when did you start kind of thinking, I like cars, this is kind of my hobby?
Right around 1991 about. I saw my senior year in high school. I saw a black 91 hatchback, a Civic hatch.
Oh, okay.
And right in the neighborhood, and I saw that thing. I was like, oh, I want a hatchback. That's what I want. 91 on 91. So it was brand new. It was a brand new car. Yeah. Well, it was the 8891 chassis, but it happened to be a black one. So, but yeah, that fourth gen hatch.
And you were in high school, you said?
Yeah.
What grade were you in?
Senior.
Okay, so you already knew, like, okay, that's the car that I want.
Yeah.
And so that's what you pursued?
No, actually, it was I ended up getting one for graduation. I graduated in '91. I ended up my father was nice enough to get me a car for as a graduation present for graduating with my class, at least, you know.
Dope. Gotcha. And what kind of car was it that you got?
A 1991 Civic 4-speed standard.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. And what did you do with that car?
Actually, I was just into cruising at the time, so I had got like some iBox springs, had probably, I think, those chrome 5-spoke, I think, Rotas at the time or something. You know, and just put a speaker system in it, you know, and cruise that thing.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's 91. That's what you do. Those are the modifications. Yeah. You're telling me that your dad was like, hey, you're gonna learn how to drive stick shift.
Yeah, he that was his one stipulation. Like, if I'm gonna get you a car, it's gonna be a stick. You're gonna learn to drive a stick. So I was, you know, of course, being that, you know, hesitant, you know, clutch, traffic, hills, all the things.
Yeah, Southern California has some hills, especially the San Diego area. Yeah, for sure. So what happened to that car?
Well, funny you should ask. I right around early 95, I was into cruising, like I said, so went the hydraulic route. And,
oh, no way.
Yeah, put hydraulics on it.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So had and unfortunately it lasted when my buddy picked it up from the shop for me when it was done, and it lasted a day because I wrecked on the way home.
Oh no.
Hey, it is what it is. Learning experience. I little too much juice for such a small car.
Oh my goodness. Wow, I'm glad you're okay. Wow, okay, so that only lasted a day. So then you quickly start thinking like, what's next?
Yeah. Well, I was devastated that my hatchback was gone. So I immediately had to get another 91 hatchback. Ended up getting a DX model this time.
Gotcha.
So had the painted bumpers and all the things. Still wasn't into the
Japanese motoring?
Well, the motor, yeah, the enthusiast side of it or anything. So it's still kind of cruising. So I didn't really know about like, oh, I should get the SI or whatever. So just had the DX model, and a buddy of mine had a 91 DX that was red, lowered on Sparcos, side markers, had the switch for the ambers back in the day, you know. And so he's buddy Steve. He's the one that got me hooked on the enthusiast side of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's where you start kind of getting that bug for this car.
Yeah, the summer of '95 is when it started.
So 95, wow, man, that's cool, man. You've been at it for quite a bit, and so it seems like you've carried on. I mean, it's 2022, and you're still messing with these older chassis, and we love that, man.
Yeah.
So how do we stumble upon this car? What was the idea behind it?
I had, I'd gone through some EGs, and I had a couple DAs. And a buddy about 2007 had a EG hatch with a K-swap in it that he was kind of slowly getting out of the scene, and I wanted to take advantage of swooping it up from him before he ended up putting it on the market. So I grabbed that from him, and then the idea of wanting to make that bar legal, just to eliminate the hassle from cops and whatever, that stigma of lowered Hondas.
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that started that. Was working on barring that, had almost got it done. Unfortunately wrecked that one. And that was about 2009-ish. Just the idea of trying to find another hatchback that wasn't molested was
very difficult.
Yeah, just the idea of like, I'm not gonna like spend months and months. I want another car. The
next option was Integra?
Next option was Integras.
And this generation, you didn't think about anything else?
No, I wasn't a huge fan of the DC5 chassis. Okay. I test drove one before when they first came out. It didn't really seem that much faster. Okay. Then I had a B20 hatchback at the time.
You're like, this is not
a B20V, and my buddy who even helped me build is like, dude, I think your car's faster than this thing.
Okay.
So so I wanted the DC2 chassis. I always loved the Type R front ends on them, and the Gen 1 Mugen wing, that was offered for that chassis. So finding one, I was like, all right, here I have a chance to the perfect platform to start piecing stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So you find this car, and then you start swapping things over, and then what was the ultimate vision for it? Was it to get this crazy, or it kind of just
no, actually
elevated to that?
Slowly elevated. It was when I bought the car, I was lucky enough that it already had like I said, it's an RS, so I didn't want a sunroof. That was at least the one stipulation, and I didn't want to buy a Type R shell, going into what I had to do for the potential barring of the K-swap. I didn't want to cut up an R shell.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Whether it was salvage title or not,
That's nice of you.
Oh, I thought, something about the R chassis, it was great, and I didn't, like, knowing what I was going to do to it, didn't want to potentially devalue what was there,
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Yeah. That's kind of what started it. You just started gutting everything.
Yeah. I still wanted that gutted look and this and that. Of course, now fast forward 10 more years that I've been driving this thing, and 10 more years of age too. I kind of wish there was AC. I did some kind of custom AC setup.
There is. The windows are down.
That is, yeah, the 280.
Yeah. The 280 is 100% right. Man. You can do YouTube whenever you want. All right. It is so cool. Yeah, thank you for this experience, man. This is super cool, just to be able to cruise around.
Thank you.
Especially as the day starts getting hotter,
Definitely.
I just noticed the position of your ignition switch. That's so cool. And it was like an afterthought. You did everything. You're like, wait, where am I gonna put the key?
No, actually, that is strictly because of the RSX wiring. Because I left the harness all the way it is, so it's just at the
That's so cool.
It's at the mercy of where it ended up.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Which is nice too, though, because it totally throws people off.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely on paper it might not show 400, 500 horsepower, but it feels fast.
yeah.
And the fact that like you have such new technology, it's new compared to whatever it came with on these cars. Here's what makes it special, it's so cool that you're able to say, yeah, I have an upgraded motor, and it should be reliable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always been kind of curious, just I really don't think, I mean, maybe a handful of cars in California might be bar legal with a K-swap. I mean, I know it's a lot easier to bar an H or a B or something in certain chassis, but again, I don't really think there's that many who have done it. I know I've seen throughout the years there's been the ones that claim to have done it in magazines even and whatnot, but in the grand scheme of it, I've never really come across another one that actually legitimately has done it.
At the front end, what do you got going on?
It's got the 98 spec HID front end.
And that was something that you really wanted. That's what you mentioned, right?
Yes.
The HID version. Okay.
I had a guy 3D print me
So cool.
the ram air for the intake, because the intakes on the Ks sit back into the firewall. So I'm stuck right there with all this hot air. So I might as well try to do something.
I bet people look at you and be like, look at this new guy. It should be at least on the other side, Yeah.
You would think.
The D series has it on the right side. What is this guy doing? Gotcha. Okay. Tell us about the hood.
Just a Cibon or Cibon carbon vented hood.
Looks nice. Looks very, very nice.
Thank you.
And then, have you resprayed the car? Because it looks super clean.
When I got the car, I think it was like that factory, like taffeta white or something. I ended up getting it reshot, the Grand Prix white, like off the S2000.
Yeah, super clean, man. Like it. And then what kind of canards?
Jay's Racing.
Jay's Racing. Wow.
Figure I try to get. I like those. I saw the other ones on the market, and they always seemed like just straight. I always liked the Jay's. They had the arch in them. Complement the Jay's fenders.
Speaking of that, Jay's fenders, very nice fitment. I really like it. It's so subtle, because if you don't know, it looks like an OEM fender, but it does have a tiny bit of width to it. And with your wheel tire setup that you have, again, it sits as if it was OEM. So definitely love what you've done with that.
Thank you.
And then tell us about your side skirts.
Got the 3-inch PCI side skirts. The Ford looked really good and a little bit more aggressive, but for me, the 3 work, and my driveway at my house sucks. So
Doesn't like the 4-inch ones?
This is about as low as I can actually go without scraping over everything just to get in and out of my garage. So
super functional though,
Yeah, I mean that was the other thing. I do want a functional car. I don't want to have to worry about a Coke can or something.
Of OEM, what have we upgraded on the suspension?
I'm got S3 coilovers.
Wow, money just entered the conversation, huh?
For the longest time I had that tried and true Coney ground control kind of setup.
I love those.
I loved it too, and I actually was really happy with it. But just the more I kept thinking about it, that company S3 had just recently come out, and I'd always kind of really wanted a full coilover. And I was like, well, let me just finally just switch it up, try something, all new, and
really happy with it so far. I haven't taken it on track yet, but I would like to, maybe hopefully as the weather gets a little cooler this year.
Yep. And suspension, what do you, you mentioned that you pretty much swap everything out of an RSX?
Yeah, just about. I mean, the, sway bars and everything are still, your standard Integra, or the DC2, DC4 chassis. Everything from as far as RSX goes, you're looking at like everything from the fuel system, and an entire cabin harness, engine harness, underdash harness, everything is DC5.
Gotcha, love it. Wheel and tire setup, what do you have going on?
15.8 plus 28, the 57 DRs up front.
Wow. Love the black and the sticker that you put on, so it gives it, again, going with the theme of the car, black and white. It's so nice, man. Super aggressive. And then what tire size?
225, 45, 15.
45, man.
And the rears are 15.8 plus 35, the 57 CRs.
Oh. Wow. Love the wheel and tire setup
Thank you.
It's beautiful. I also see that you have a bit bigger brake up front. Tell us about that.
The standard Type R front brakes, but I did upgrade the caliper to the NSX. I wanted something a little bit more aggressive, but at the same time, I love the spoon calipers, but didn't necessarily want to go that route with my build.
Gotcha.
So,
I like that. Yeah.
Kind of stuck with OE Honda, but
Kind of stuck with the supercar braking.
yeah, still supercar braking, but
I love that. And then tell us about the back. What do we have going on?
My wife now, but we were just dating at the time. We had gone to on a trip to Europe, and at the time I wasn't really into like the whole European look of the cars. But then as soon as going there and walking around and checking the vibe, I had to end up like upgrading. And,
You went full European.
Yeah, I was like, I'll go JDM up front, and I'll go European in the rear. So I got the UK tail lights and did the license plate extension.
Wow, I like that. Wow.
Keep with the DC5 theme. The front and rear tow hooks are Mugen DC5.
Man, that wing just flows so nicely. It's not even funny. It's just the way you.
Yeah. Thank you. I was always a fan of this particular one myself. The second gen is awesome, but it just didn't fit the chassis to me.
Yeah, I mean, different taste buds type of thing,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I like both wings, but this one flows very nicely, and what you've done with the car is just it flows with the theme of the car, and so. All right, so tell us about what do we have inside, man. This is cool.
Well, the whole PCI floor plate. Those are a Sargent Racing dead pedal. Those are just old school, just ghetto fab pedals from back in the day that I still had in the collection, but I just wanted a bigger pedal for my big feet. K-tune race spec shifter and the cables.
Lovely
K20
piece.
Mart shift knob.
What kind of steering wheel?
The Mugen, was it Racing 3, I think? The whatever one's available right now.
Okay, Mugen wheel. And then, now, did you have to go with the entire dash RSX, or did you choose to do that?
I went with the entire dash for the barring purposes to make it easier. The under dash fuse box has the multiplex unit, which runs the evap, and so it just made it easier. As opposed to trying to, you might be able to take the time and splice this and that to keep your original dash, but
it just that makes sense to you.
At the time, it just seemed easier to do this, and I hadn't really seen too many people do, or really anyone do, the DC5 dash swap. I love how the gauge cluster has the silver face on them during the day, but then at night, all you see is like the red glow of all the...
Plus, the design of it is very driver focused. It's angling towards you, so it just gives that whole different look. So I love it.
And deep down inside, I was hoping Spoon or Mugen would have made a gauge cluster. I could have, like, you know, spent some money on and bought one, but they never did.
They never did.
Never did.
Battery in the back?
Battery in the back.
Nice.
Just, wanted to relocate it for one, and then put it, add the little weight ballast difference.
And then what kind of cage?
Auto power, 4-point.
You power core that white. Looks very nice. And then if you want to show us the hatch, which you mentioned is one of your favorite things. I agree. A gutted hatchback Integra, which is... Oh, there's your hydraulic pump, right?
Kind of.
Your juice. Wow. So this is really cool. I mean, you had to do all these upgrades to get it BARD and everything. And I like the fact that it looks OEM.
That was what I was kind of striving for. So the whole rear section here has been grafted out of a DC5 and re-welded in. So the stock DC5 gas tanks underneath here.
Wow.
And then on a DC5, all the evap is mounted underneath the car, but on these chassis, there's no spot to mount it, so I just had it.
That's so cool. I mean, just listening to this, I understand why most people don't do that, because it's a lot of work. But the upside to that is that now you get, aside from, height or plate or stupid things, exhaust, you're good. You can drive the car, you feel comfortable, you get pulled over, here's the documentation. But yes, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that needs to be done to be able to accomplish this. Man, absolutely love it. It's so cool. Are there any plans for the interior? Because it looks amazing. I wouldn't do anything different.
Honestly, if I have a chance, I'd love to maybe at least respray it. I'd like to.
Okay.
At the time, I was more concerned with at least making the outside look nice.
Yep.
In my mindset, it was like, this isn't a show car. This isn't a show car. But I've done.
Now it's a show car.
Well, I've done. And having kids and stuff like that, I get to do more shows than track events.
Right.
The track where I live is at least 3.5 hours away.
More
so
expensive,
to try to
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So to try to and be up there all day, as opposed to at least going to a Honda meet or like the IBOC meet or something, where my kids can come up, climb around in the car and go walk around and stuff. It's a lot closer. And so, yeah, with that being said, the original idea was like, it's not a show car. I don't care what the interior looks like, but no, at least I could appreciate having a nice matching interior. Same thing with like the engine bay. Someday I'd like to yank the motor back out, maybe at least clean up the engine bay a little bit more, but.
Leave as is. It looks great. Yeah. Everything that needs to be there is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Some seats, some pedals, and a gearbox, and yeah, it looks great, man. Awesome. Well, it's gutted, it's caged, that beautiful shifter assembly. What's under the hood, if you don't mind showing?
Oh, don't mind at all.
I mean, all that work for something, right?
All that work for something.
Oh man, there it is. It's just so beautiful. It looks OEM stock, it just with a lot more work, to get it to be OEM. Definitely understand why the vent is on this side now. Nice. So what are we staring at, man?
K20A2, the Type S motor. Mostly stock. It's got Type R cams in it and a thinner head gasket. I've upgraded the flywheel and final drive to the Type R, but other than that, you're basically a stock Type S.
Okay, wow. And then you said the transmission, nothing else other than what you mentioned?
Wave track LSD, and then like I said, the Type R flywheel, and then the 4.7.
Okay. So this is more than enough for you then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, if if I get a chance to do a track day, I do have a header that I can put on, and I have another ECU that has Honda on it, so I can turn around to swap that stuff, do a cat delete, and
And then go that way.
go that way.
So has the car been tuned?
With the other setup, it was. I did a baseline on this years ago, and it was like 172 to the wheels.
Okay.
Which, at the time, like everyone's like, "Oh, you have a K, that thing's gonna hit 2, no problem," And when I saw the 172, initially it was like, oh,
disappointing a
a little disappointing at the time, but it was really cool because a buddy was right there with me too, and he's like, "Hey, does it feel fast to you?" I was like, yeah. It does. He's like, "Well, there you go." And it's honest to God truth, it's still feels fast no matter what. And when it was tuned with the header and the Honda, I did 219.
There you go. Yeah. It may be like those Porsche numbers, they lie a little bit.
Exactly.
It's more than 170. Okay. And it's a cool little block off plate. Where's that from?
Beat Rush.
Nice. And then what kind of coolant do you have? The radiator?
A Griffin.
Okay. Very nice. I mean, aside from the engine bay, you said that you would like to. Is there anything else for the engine compartment? I mean, it's just perfect, man. I love it.
I'd love to. For a while there, like a couple years ago, I was trying to mess around and run an RBC manifold, and actually try to see if I could smog my car with an RBC on it. The route I went, and unfortunately didn't work. I found a throttle body that had all the sensors and everything on it that I could use, but it was a ported throttle body, and it was just too big of a port. It would work probably on my Cape on the Honda, but it won't work on a too aggressive of a opening for a stock ECU. Like the stock ECU can adjust the fuel ratios enough, and fuel and air ratios enough to the car kept bogging.
And if you can't run the OEM ECU, then there's no point of trying even smogging the car.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
I love the valve cover, the color that you went, because it's so subtle. Most people go with the bright red or the blue or things like that. I just like it. It just seems like with the wrapping that you did on the arm as well, like everything just flows so nicely. It's very subtle.
Thank you. Yeah, the local powder coating shop that I went to, I noticed had a wrinkle gray at the time, and again, being into Hondas as long as I've been into them, the GSR, had the wrinkle black.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, here's a, I have a Type R valve cover at home, so I didn't necessarily want a wrinkle black or anything, but I was like, oh, here's this wrinkle gray option. I was like, I like that, that.
So subtle.
The battleship or the whatever kind of, color gray. Yeah. Because that just nice subtle contrast with here and there.
I love it, man. Your car is perfect. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't do anything to it. We're in such better time. I'm glad you guys went through the hard times.
Seriously,
You're like, shut up.
I'm glad I'm still in the scene to at least appreciate the advances that we have done. So not just getting the, back again, when I started getting the enthusiast side of it, like I said, like in '95 there, going like the first battle of the imports up there in Palmdale, like in '96, watching cars race, like the first Hondas hitting 13s and this and that. And
huge deal.
Oh yeah, huge. And all the effort they had to do just to get X amount of horsepower, like totally tricked out, custom modified turbo systems just to get whatever. And nowadays, like you can get like 400 like that, like no problem.
Yeah.
Buy a little bolt-on kit, and you're like, oh yeah, I got 400 little wheels, I'm good.
All-wheel drive.
Yeah, reliable,
yeah. Any shout-outs, man?
Of course, first and foremost has to be my wife and kids. Without them and the support, wouldn't keep me going to do all this stuff. My buddy Frank, buddy Joey, Tristan, Charlie, my gosh, without some of their, some of that help and knowledge with some of this build wouldn't even be possible, especially my buddy Frank. He's the one who helped get me to start actually doing all the wiring myself on this car. He was, he one of those ones that helped cut under the wing, so to speak, so, Kevin for plugging me in with the S3 suspension and stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, and anyone I might have forgotten, thank you.
Which I'm sure you are. You know, there's just so many people on a build like this over the years. There's just so many people that you come in to contact that helps you. I know from my end, big shout out to Mike G, big supporter of the channel and connected us. So that's how I knew about you. So thank you, Mike. Yeah, I mean, amazing car, amazing story, very humble guy. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you've been putting it down since '91. That's when I was born, so that's super cool. And now it's 2022 and you're still rolling around in your, you know, golden era Honda / Acura chassis. And honestly, we couldn't be any happier for those of us who, you know, they're, for lack of a better word, we're new to the Honda scene. So we love the fact that there's OGs out there like yourself still rolling around, you know, definitely gives us motivation. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
From a guy who's almost 50.
Man, you don't look 50. You look like 49.
Well, thank you.
No, man, thank you so much. I love this car. And so, yeah, keep it on the road. Can't wait to see you at the track and more shows because it's turning into a show car.
That's it. Oh, yeah, exactly. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.